Hi Year 3. So as you know, for our guided reading book, we've been doing Nothing to See Here Hotel, okay? So it's been quite a while since we read any of the Nothing to See Here Hotel. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a very quick recap and I'm going to start reading from chapter 13, okay? So hopefully have a little listen of chapters 13 to 16. We're going to start on chapter 17 and I'm going to start including some questions, all right? So far in the Nothing to See Here Hotel, we've heard about Frankie Bannister. Okay, so he's a quarterling, his dad is a half troll, and his mum is human. We know that the Nothing to See Here Hotel is a magical hotel for only magical creatures. And we also know that he's got a very scary grandma called Granny Regurgita, who is a troll. Okay. Not too long ago, a goblin messenger arrived and said that they would have a prince visiting. And they've been working really hard to get the hotel ready for Prince Grogbar. Now, chapter 13 introduces Prince Grogbar, and I'm going to start reading from there. Okay? Chapter 13, Prince Grogbar. Mum was right to worry. For well over an hour, goblins came pouring into the hotel's back garden until there wasn't a bit of space left. I was starting to believe that the prince didn't exist at all, but finally there was an extra loud horn blast from the musicians. "Prepare, unworthy creatures," the royal shouter bellowed. "The time has come for his dukiness to arrive." I glanced down the golden corridor and saw an ornate chariot making its way towards us, pulled by a team of miserable-looking goblin servants. "Heave!" they shouted. "Heave!" The chariot reached the double doors, but where was the prince? It seemed to be completely empty, except for a long, thin feather poking up out of it. I looked about and saw that everyone had the same confused expression on their face. We watched as the feather jiggled, then moved to the edge of the chariot, and the shortest, fattest goblin I have ever seen hopped down onto the ground. Grogbar was barely taller than a bag of flour, but much, much wider. The prince looked like a grey pumpkin in curly-toed slippers. He was dressed in pink and purple robes covered with tiny gold embroidered flowers and was dripping in jewellery of every kind. Bangles and necklaces tinkled as he walked, and the rings on every one of his fingers glinted in the sunlight. On his head was a bulging turban with a diamond brooch in the shape of a crescent moon on the front, fastening a huge feather in place. It was 5 times taller than he was. "Greetings, pathetic overlings," he said in a squeaky voice, then smiled as if he'd just paid us all a compliment. "Bow at my feet, grovel at my gobliness." Dad said. He looked back at the rest of us and gestured for us to copy him as he bent down on one knee. We all did the same. "Lower," Grogbar commanded. "Marvel at my hunkledom." We all got onto both knees and bowed forward. "Lower or die." The goblin guards brandished their swords and bared their teeth. How were we supposed to bow lower than the prince? We'd have had to lie flat on the ground and shove our faces in the dirt. "Oh, mighty Grogbar," Mum blurted out and rushed forward, bowing and nodding like crazy. "We are so humbled to have you stay at the Nothing to See Here Hotel. On behalf of us all, staff and guests, we have prepared a—" "Ah!" Grogbar screamed and darted behind the nearest guard. "Human! There's a human here! A dirty, stupid, lumbering, ugly, stingsome human!" Mum looked like she'd just been slapped round the chops. Prince Grogbar, "Ah!" If I could explain, "Ah!" We actually, "Ah!" Run the hotel? The prince stopped screaming and peeked out from behind the expressionless guard. "What?" he said. "Don't lie to me, wretched human. Guards, slice this human into chunklets and feed it to my beetles." "Whoa!" Dad stepped forward and raised his hands. "It's true, Prince Grogbar. My great-great-grandfather Abraham Bannister built the hotel." The prince reeled backwards when he saw Dad. "There's more of them," he said with a look of horror on his little fat face. plague! I can assure you that there is no plague, Mum said, trying to sound calm. We are the Bannister family and we manage this hotel. My great-great-grandmother is Regurgitor Glump, Dad asked. He took his glasses off and lifted his head, letting the sunlight catch the copper tinge to his eyes. See, I'm a halfling. Prince Grogba stopped his whimpering and glared at both of them. There wasn't a person in the whole of the magical world that hadn't heard of Granny Regurgitor. You? The prince said to Dad. He looked disgusted. I thought he might be sick. The offspring of Mistress Glump? Yep, Dad replied. That's right, Mrs. Dunn shouted from the top of the slide. If I may, Lady Leonora said, floating out of the crowd. She pulled a ghostly flower out of the air and offered it to the prince. The Bannisters have magical blood and are nothing to worry about, Your Highness. But... Grogbar's bottom lip trembled. We've prepared a feast for you, Mum said, pulling her famous welcome to the hotel smile. How could I possibly eat with the stink of humans in the air? There's gull gizzard pate and cockroach crostinis, Nancy said. Grogbar's jaw dropped and I spotted a little line of drool dribble down his chin. I told you magical creatures are greedy. He stepped back out from behind the guard and straightened his robes. Well, I suppose I can tolerate the stink if there's just 2 humans, he mumbled. Well, said Mum carefully, actually there are 3. What? Grogbar clutched at his necklaces in panic. Mum pointed in my direction and the prince slowly shifted his gaze towards me. Hello, I said, waving. I couldn't help but enjoy the look of revulsion on Grogbar's face. Prince Grogbar blinked wildly, opened his mouth to speak and fainted, face down in the mud with a satisfying squelch.